Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. Today's video we're going to be talking about the Brighton midfielder known as Alexis Mac Allister. The Brighton midfielder is on the verge of leaving Brighton, it seems, in the upcoming transfer window. It seems that according to Fabrizio Romano, his time with the Seagulls at the Amex Stadium is seemingly coming to an end. There are a few teams that are monitoring this situation, circling around the midfielder, and no matter what happens this season, it seems that he is going to be leaving De Zerbi's side this upcoming transfer window. And of course, with the upcoming transfer window coming closer and closer, it means that the speculation on Mac Allister is only going to build and snowball even further than it already has done. And obviously, Romano commented yesterday and obviously said that there are a few teams in the Premier League specifically that are monitoring this situation, and that Mac Allister could be on the move in the upcoming transfer window. We're going to be talking about Brighton, about Mac Allister, about the type of midfielder he is, where his next destination in football may lie, and so on and so forth in this video. But before we go any further, I would like to remind you to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always and forever greatly appreciated. And also for you to get involved in the comment section as well on this particular topic. I want to know what you guys think on Alexis Mac Allister. Is he underrated? Is he overrated? Will he make a great signing for any particular team? Good player, bad player? All of your thoughts, your comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, on Alexis Mac Allister will all feel welcome down in the comment section and all make for interesting reading, I'm sure. But without further ado, let's get into the video. Let's talk about Alexis Mac Allister. The midfielder signed when he was 20 years old for Brighton back in 2019. He signed in January of 2019 from, I think, Argentinian club. That name escapes me. I don't actually remember. But yes, signed for Brighton back in 2019 for a fee believed to be in the region of £7 million. Typical kind of Brighton signing, I guess you'd say. Not just for the type of player that he is, but more so for the financial aspect of it. Obviously the price these days of £7 million is seen as peanuts, shoestring budget kind of thing. But obviously Brighton are looking to make a big profit on him, and that is obviously what Brighton have done in recent memory. You think about how Marc Cucurella, for example, left for 50 odd million last summer. You look at Bissouma leaving for 25 million. Yes, they could have got a bit more for him, but they allowed his contract to run down. Hence why, obviously, that kind of happened. And that was obviously a big factor to it. Not the only factor, of course, but a big factor to it. Ben White selling for 50 million as well is another name that springs to mind. Brighton are known to do this. Brighton are known to take these good players for small amounts of money, build them up. And then obviously give them the spotlight, build them up, and then obviously sell them on for big profit when they leave. And the way that Brighton are run, I can't see them being, although Mac Allister is a good player for them, and I think he is a key player for them, they're not going to be too worried because Brighton, the wheel keeps spinning there. They are a very well-run club. I don't know how long and sustainable this obvious model is, but they don't seem to panic. They will lose big players, they will lose key members of their backroom staff and manager and stuff like that, and they've already got like 2 or 3 perfect replacements, shall we say, lined up. Like I say, we saw that with Cucurella, we saw that with Bissouma. They've obviously got Moises Caicedo in the mix as well. Again, another player that might be leaving in the summer. Obviously, there was big speculation surrounding him in January. He's since signed a new contract for some reason. But yeah, there's something to admire there. There is definitely a lot to admire when it comes to Brighton and how well run of a club that they are, and how well scouted that they see their potential targets going forward, and that they just do not panic when it comes to this kind of thing. They'll know Mac Allister wants to leave. They'll have a price tag set out that's reasonable. And if he wants to leave, they won't stand in his way. And they'll say, look, you can leave. We've already got like 2 or 3 replacements lined up. They're a very well-run club. As far as Mac Allister goes, though, obviously he's made 101 appearances for Brighton across his stay with the club. He scored 18 goals and assisted 8 times, including the 8 goals and 1 assist that he's already recorded this season. And obviously he's helped Brighton towards where they are currently in the table. They're in 7th place. They are chasing and hunting down some form of European football. They've got a game or 2 in hand over everybody else that is around them, so they could actually progress further in the Premier League standings. They are a point off 6th place, which obviously would include Europa League football for next season. And they are 7 points off of Spurs, who are in 5th place, 10 points off of top 4. And whilst top 4 seems to be a bit too far of a gap for them to kind of pull back, although obviously not impossible and not mathematically impossible, that is, I would safely bet Brighton, with the way that they're playing right now and with how well they are doing, that they would get some form of European football next season in the form of, I would lean more towards Europa League, but of course if they were to fall away at some point, I don't think they'd fall too far out of Europa Conference League spots. So at least I think they will be getting some form of Europa League, European football for next season, which would be big for a side like Brighton. And obviously they're still in the FA Cup as well. They're still in the FA Cup. They've got a semi-final against Manchester United to contend with before meeting either Sheffield United. Is it Sheffield United? Sheffield United or Manchester City in the final. So they've got that to contend with as well. And I think against this Manchester United side that are hit with injuries and with the way that, like I say, Brighton are playing, they'll certainly fancy their chances in that game of making it to the final. And then in the final, you know, I know it'll probably be against Manchester City, but again, it could be very intriguing to see if they actually manage to pull off a good underdog story there. As far as Mac Allister goes, as far as he is a player, look, Fabrizio Romano came out yesterday and stated that his time at Brighton may be up. And he's a midfielder that's had a big couple of years. And especially this season, he's had a massive season when it comes to both his domestic or his club career, as well as obviously his international career. He's been a key figure for Brighton this season. Like I say, scored a fair few goals, helped Brighton towards obviously getting to where they are in the table, but as well as his international career, he's gone on to obviously win the World Cup. Brighton have a World Cup winner within their midst. And he's obviously gone on to help Argentina win the World Cup in Qatar that obviously took place in December of last year. And obviously, yeah, like he's a key part of those two things that's happened this season. He's a very good player overall, in my opinion. And obviously, like I say, he is obviously going to attract a lot of interest. When you obviously start raising that profile for yourself, as he has done these past couple of years, you are going to attract interest. And Fabrizio Romano commented yesterday on the situation, and he basically said he is attracting interest. He is likely to leave Brighton this summer, and he wants that move to get done as soon as possible so he can start preparations for obviously the following season. Romano said that the likes of Chelsea, Manchester United and Liverpool were interested. And when you look at those 3 teams, the midfield is definitely areas that those 3 teams in particular need to improve. Mac Allister, obviously being a midfielder, ticks that box. But there are a lot of other boxes as well that make him a great player. He's an all-round midfielder, in my opinion. He's got a proper industrious work rate, is a tireless midfielder, a proper asset in that engine room, shall we say, in terms of hard working, high work rate in both defensive and attacking areas. And I think that not only just what he brings to the table in terms of the kind of engine he's got on him, shall we say, but he can fill in any role in that midfield as well. He's confident on the ball. He's got great technique. So he's a great ball carrier. Draws plenty of fouls. Obviously, is aggressive. He's a ball winner, box to box, like we already mentioned. He makes 2 tackles per game in terms of that ball winning aspect, and he makes 1 key pass per game. So there is a bit of a playmaker in him as well. He's a very good all-round midfielder that I think would be a worthy asset to any of those teams that we previously forementioned. You think about Liverpool, obviously not getting Jude Bellingham now. They bowed out of that race earlier this week. We talked about that. It's been well documented elsewhere as well. This option would be seen from a financial point as making more sense to them. Maybe not to the fans, definitely not to me, who would prefer Bellingham over Mac Allister. I'm not saying I wouldn't prefer both. I'm not saying that I would prefer Bellingham because Mac Allister isn't a good player. I'm saying Mac Allister is a good player, but I would see Bellingham as a better option. But of course, financially, Mac Allister for the club suits them more than what Bellingham would. For Chelsea, of course, midfield is going to be a massive point to strengthen this summer, as well as obviously their striking options as well. But a midfielder who can chip in with goals here and there, does all of those things that I previously mentioned in terms of what he can bring to a team, and of course is very good from set pieces. I failed to mention that, but he is very good from a set piece situation as well. I think that obviously he'd be a worthy asset to Chelsea as well, and would help balance, and also would bed in well with obviously their newest acquisition of Enzo Fernandez, obviously because both are Argentinian, and you'd have that Argentinian kind of partnership in the middle of the pitch. So that could be a very interesting dynamic to have as well. And as far as Manchester United goes, obviously Christian Eriksen isn't exactly getting any younger. They obviously have Casemiro and Eriksen there that have been brilliant this season for them. But again, Eriksen has missed a few games. Casemiro has missed a few games. They really need to add depth to that midfield in terms of quality, and Mac Allister could definitely offer that to them. Could also be used in rotation. Unlike some Bruno Fernandes, of course, being rotated in and out whenever he's not playing very well or needs a rest or whatever the case may be. There's a lot of options there for Manchester United to play with in terms of their midfield choices, and of course who they bring in this summer. Mac Allister definitely could be a player that they look at, and like I say, given what I've said about him and what I admire about him and what I've seen from him, obviously that would be another worthy asset to them. But overall, I think it's going to be very interesting to see what the future holds for Mac Allister. Like I said, I don't think Brighton will be too concerned. Obviously, it'll be annoying and frustrating for them to lose a key player like Mac Allister, but at the same time, they won't be too concerned because I imagine that they have got a list of 2 or 3 perfect alternatives that even some of the top clubs maybe have not even thought of, or maybe they're, because like I say, I think Brighton's scouting is incredible. The way that they can just basically go, okay, we won't stand in your way of leaving. We've already got a replacement lined up for you, and he's perfect. Why can't the big clubs do that? Why can't the big clubs see that they don't need to spend millions upon millions upon millions upon millions to obviously find replacements for players or bring in a new addition to their side? Why can't they do what Brighton do and go out and find a hidden gem somewhere from all points of the globe or whatever the case may be? I think their scouting and their recruitment and the way that they are just run in general is just absolutely incredible to watch. And I'm a big admirer of what Brighton have managed to achieve these past few years. But as far as what Alexis Mac Allister goes, look, I think he's a very good player. I do think he's a very good player. There is the kind of gamble that all kind of transfers have. This one, he's Premier League proven to an extent over the past couple of years. Obviously, when I say Premier League proven over the past couple of years, that's not a dig or anything. That's just to say that some players work better at other clubs in other systems than they do with other clubs, We've seen that time and time again. Whenever a Premier League player has moved from Premier League club to Premier League club, sometimes it just doesn't work out. But I think it could with Mac Allister. I think it's a bit of a strange one, given how Brighton have achieved so much this season. We'll probably might still end this season with a trophy, and probably will get European football, in my opinion, of some form. Obviously, Chelsea probably won't get that European football spot this season. So if he does go there, is he going to be content with at least one more season of no European football rather than stay at Brighton, for example? Obviously, Liverpool, it's 50-50 for them. With the way that their season's gone, they could get some form of European football themselves. They could obviously fall out of them spots. That could be interesting to see. And if that dynamic does come out, what the case may be for his next footballing destination is for them. And of course, with Manchester United, look, right now I'd say they're the most attractive offer. Financial-wise, can they get the takeover over the line for them to obviously make this purchase and not miss out on this player? Obviously, time will tell on that. But given how they are probably going to get Champions League football for next season, given how Erik ten Hag is really building something with that club and obviously has the potential to, and with the takeover on the horizon, obviously that could only intensify more and more. Obviously, there will be the more attractive offer right now. It remains to be seen what happens with Alexis Mac Allister. I think he's a very good player. Obviously, there's a bit of a gamble. But what he brings to a squad, I think, will only get better with age, experience, playing with better players around him, with all due respect to Brighton, of course, and just seeing where his footballing career goes from here. But that's all I've got to say on the Alexis Mac Allister thing. Those are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of the future of Alexis Mac Allister? Where do you see his next footballing destination lying? Will it be with Manchester United? Will it be with a Liverpool? Will it be with Chelsea? Or is someone else waiting in the wings to pounce on this potential transfer? I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of him as a player? Where do you see him playing next season? All of your thoughts, your comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, will all make for interesting reading down below in the comment section. I'm sure they will all make for interesting reading. I can't wait to read them all. Otherwise, hit that like button on the way out if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and forever be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see you and speak to you all again soon in another video.